So the ship was finally dislodged yesterday after being pushed and pulled from 14 tugboats. The Ever Given has since been relocated for inspection. And with the ship now freed, the investigation will begin. Experts looking for answers as to what went wrong and how this will affect global trade. Join me now from Dallas, Texas, co-founder and chief strategist at GDP Advisors, Seth Denson. Seth, this is kind of an incredible story. I guess maybe a lot of people like me didn't realize that just this incident could cost the global economy billions of dollars. That is a lot of money.
It certainly is, and you got to understand that this was one of three major waterways that ships pass throughout the world, and so for it to be blocked for as long as it did meant that effectively a third of these major channels was offline, and that does impact both imports and exports. There's a lot of talk about the imports, but exports, U.S. agricultural goods to Asia, for example, a lot of times will flow through this port. So that's going to be it'll be interesting to see if that impacts it. I don't think so. I'm probably more on the side of this is going to fizzle out fairly quickly, in large part because it wasn't stuck for as long as we might have. It could have been, perhaps. But at the end of the day, again, only time will tell. The biggest impact, I think, could be a delay on getting some goods. So maybe that Amazon Prime package might be an extra day delayed. But another thing that it would be interesting, man, I got to think that we'll call it the cruise of shame, as that ship got pulled out and had to go by all the other cruise ships. You got to wonder what was on the minds of those crew members going, yeah, that was us.
Yeah. Now, I want to shift gears here and ask you about the Visa Pilots crypto settlement. Apparently, digital currencies are jumping because of this move. As we know, the rage over cryptocurrency continues. Your thoughts?
Well, listen, we talked about crypto a lot, Stephanie, and I think that more and more organizations, Visa's just following suit with what Tesla did earlier in the year, and the more and more of these companies that are getting involved in this, the more they're inviting regulators. Again, I've been someone who's been adamant that I want some level of regulation on this to make sure that I'm holding, Microsoft instead of Enron. But at the same time, I think that, that's the welcoming thing here. Now, Visa's been very clear. They're going to wait to see if the U.S. government puts out its own version of crypto before it gets too deep into it. But nonetheless, crypto is up on this, and it is the craze, and it's becoming more and more of a reality. The more legitimate organizations get into it, the more stable it does become.
Well, you think about like the federal government and Janet Yellen, some of the things she said about cryptocurrency, which has some miners on edge and those who like cryptocurrency, because it's really unknown what they're going to do in the future. It seems like they want to do a crackdown. And then we have the federal government who talks about creating their own type of cryptocurrency, which is also odd.
Yeah, I think we talked about it recently about the government getting into this, and it's kind of a double the work, isn't it, to get into the crypto space. But listen, Yellen thinks that Bitcoin is used for nefarious purposes. She's been very open about that. And I guess the fact that there is no entity giving it any oversight lends some credibility to that thought process. Again, I'm in that boat a little bit, like who's managing, who's pulling the strings on this? That's concerning to me. But nonetheless, the more these legitimate businesses get involved in it, the more stable it becomes, the more many of us who may be naysayers are going to say, okay, maybe we'll get on board. Exactly.
Now, Amazon continues to have a lot of drama. I've been following it closely. I'm a little bit critical of Amazon. I think, they say they take really good care of their employees, but then we have a lot of these employees that come out and speak out against the company, and there's a lot of lawsuits going on. And now the latest lawsuit is saying that Amazon has been cheating workers out of their lunch breaks, and as we know, that's a big no-no.
Yeah, and I tell you, this sounds plausible, and I'm anxious to see as the evidence comes out whether or not it's reality. But all of these things are only furthering the cause of those that are calling for unionization. So if Amazon really wants to fight unionization, and trust me, they do. I know that there's a vote, I think it's being counted today on this topic, then they're going to need to make sure that they've got their policies and procedures in order and that they're taking care of their employees, not just in the paychecks, but just on their quality of life as well.
Yeah, I mean, people need a 30-minute break to eat lunch. That's so cruel if this is true. Obviously, we're going to have to wait until this investigation concludes. But as you pointed out, the effort to unionize over at Amazon, the heads of Amazon don't want that, which is interesting because that's like a liberal cause. They love the unions, unless, of course, it affects them. So why do you think Amazon doesn't want to unionize, by the way?
Well, listen, they want to be able to control the market, and they want to be able to control the situation. And listen, there is certainly a discussion to be had about the value of unionizations and their plight to make sure that the employees take care of. Unfortunately, unions, by and large across the United States, have become more about the union than the employee. And I think Amazon sees that and recognize the cost margin of what they do will go up exponentially the more that a union head is involved in the discussions, again, because now you've got more layers of administration and oversight. And I think that's what Amazon's looking at. Pure profit, pure margin, pure capabilities to maneuver. Unions were going to slow that thing down.
Yeah, and we've seen even Senator Bernie Sanders speaking out against Amazon, and there has been like Twitter feuds over that. And Amazon's like, hey, well, we pay a $15 minimum wage. But as I pointed out, that's for themselves, to benefit themselves, because they want all the mom and pop shops to shut down that can't pay that $15 minimum wage, right?
Yeah, if there's nowhere else to go get your stuff, you got to go to Amazon, right? I mean, we've already had a year where that became reality thanks to Uncle Sam's shutdowns. But now Amazon's doubling down. They're a big supporter of this, and that makes them sound like they're for the employee, but not. They're actually recognizing this is going to help them gain margin.
Yeah. I rarely use Amazon. I haven't. Sometimes I have to use it, but I made an extreme effort to make sure I could always try to get to the stores to try to buy what I could. Anyways, we got to run, Seth. Thank you.
Thanks, Stephanie.
Coming